Hey, so I want to look at VOO, QQQ, and IWM. All I want to look at is a technical analysis. So right here we have VOO, which again, that's the top 500 stocks. It's like an ETF that matches the S&P 500. The last time we looked at VOO was on 429. It was trading at 382. So let's just kind of zoom in here. I guess just at a glance, it looks like we projected it was going to go down this second quarter. Clearly, it hasn't. It looks like it started an uptrend. Um, but let's see. The last time we looked at this was 429. So that's right around here. So 381, 382, that's what I have. So let's zoom in a little bit more. So we're up here. Hopefully we can see that. So it's above my fair value point. I had a buy point marked at 349. That is the green line. So I'll zoom in even a little bit further. So we're nearing what I thought would be a point of resistance. So right away I'm not looking to add this one. But the uptrend does have me interested. I will say that. Resistance, again, just near term, it looks like we saw a pop like this before. Not like this clearly has consolidation at like 349, 372. And yet the last time it exceeded that mark, it stalled out at 387. Will this time be different? Let's actually look at QQQ. So this one's actually exceeded our sell point or major resistance point, we'll call it. If I were to look for another one on this, so by the way, it looks like this one is mirroring the VOO, the top 500, because similar, even though this had an uptrend already, we thought this was going to pull back closer to this yellow line at 519. I guess that's when we thought we would get back to this, but it's 529, so we missed it a little bit. Again, that was just me trying to project. It looks like it stayed in the line. Obviously, at this point, we thought it would, not thought, but we were hoping that it might get back to about 300 on the dot. It looks like it's closing in on 350. Yeah, again, this is similar to VOO. I guess let's zoom in a little bit. So both of these right off the bat, I'm not interested in getting them. While they are in this uptrend, they're on the upper side of the uptrend. So let's just wrap up with VOO because I think we're pretty much there. If I had to put something like as a projection out through what would it be? Third quarter, and I mean we're still not done with the second quarter. So if I just had to project for the next month, let's see. But we'll try to do. Well, let's just see. Okay, so trend line. So it looks like at this point where we thought it would kind of pull back, just due to previous pattern down here, this yellow kind of zigzag. And now we're going up. I'm going to make this line purple just so we know it's different. Like it's a projection really. Purple and gold would seem to be like projection lines to me. So if we were to imagine this uptrend continues out through, we'll say, the last week of September. So this gives us a whole quarter to look at. And so this is one potential idea that could happen. I'll try to make this parallel. That looks pretty parallel, I'd say. Whoops. Let's see. So that's pretty parallel. So obviously we're at the upper end. So this is why this one's kind of getting ruled out for me. Is number one, it's close to that red line that we marked out as possible resistance. The thing is, if it exceeds that line without any issue, the next point we're looking at is about 407. And I do like that number. 407 looks like another resistance point possible. Currently, the uptrend is not at that pace, but it does have us pacing to get out of this uptrend. I guess at this point, so currently, let's just kind of update the tracker here. So currently, it's at 385. Um, if I were to buy this one, ultimately, I'd like to get it at 350, which is that green line down here at the bottom. This 349. If I wanted to add it, like if I was gonna add it at this point, like if it fell back down to 375, that would be the first time I'd be interested. But honestly, if it touches 375, that was more like resistance than support. I think it could act like a support line because that seems to happen. Not so much with this one though. Once it crossed, it did do a bounce here. Yeah, it's more of a resistance point than a support line. So honestly, I guess let me say the first point I would consider it as 375, but I think if it touches 375, it's probably going to go lower. I mean, that's pretty much been the trend. It exceeded it once, kind of struggled for a month. Once it passed, I don't know. I don't want to waste too much time on this. Uh, yeah, I think there's a way. By the way, I found something out, so this might be helpful. Um, no, I think there's a way to. Um, it might be on my phone. Um, there's a way to add in. I'll have to look it up, but there's a way that you can add in like a notification if it reaches a certain level. So for me, where I would put that at, and I guess that's what the spreadsheet's for. So again, the buy point's at 349, so we'll just say 350. That green's a little bit difficult to read, I think. I'm gonna see if I can make it a little bit darker. Oh man, my mouse is like lagging on me. Should I make it dark green? We'll keep it, I guess. Make it this one. Okay. But anyway, so I would probably say 360. I feel like that's like, so what we'll do is we'll add a horizontal line at 360. It's not going to be the thick one, but we'll make it a half width one. And so yeah, if it got down to 360, currently it says 359. Let me just bump that up a little bit if I can. Yeah, so 360, that would be a buy point for me. So 349 is like the obvious. 360 would be considerable. Resistance points, again, the resistance that I had was at 407. In the short term, I want to see what it does at 388. So we'll mark that. But overall, yeah, I'm not interested in buying this one. I think we track enough stocks that there's other options out there. So, we'll just kind of see. We'll need to cycle through everything to officially make a pick. But right now I'm saying I'm going to pass on this one. I'm just trying to update the tracker, and I'll show it to you in a minute. Is that right? Like that? Okay. I'm gonna update the date here, 5/29. Let's see. So the note we had before on this one said it was consolidating between 350 and 375, which is the green and blue line. And we actually had a breakout alert. So last time we looked at this again was this green line. So yeah, it exceeded what we thought was the fair value point. It was over fair value in our opinion. And so that's why we marked it a breakout, because it was potential that it would now act as resistance here, or I'm sorry, support here as opposed to resistance. So it looks like that actually kind of did occur, the breakout alert. It was true, at least so far. So I'll say breakout occurred. So this uptrend could continue for a while. I mean, that's currently what the purple line is. So breakout occurred on whatever, 429, I guess. In an uptrend for last 1.5 months, something like that. Okay, and then let me wrap that. Okay, so just a quick update. So here we are at the very top. We have VOO. If I had to mark this one, yeah, it just doesn't get a color. You know, if it was a buy, I would make it blue or green. If I thought it was bad, I'd mark it. So I guess I'd mark it red, just to keep it simple. I don't know if that makes sense, but we'll mark it there. So I did include the date. Here's the. I'm hoping this is like readable, because I know watching on a phone sometimes it's like real small, but hopefully this is big enough. So for VOO, currently it's at 385. I think that's too high. The first time I would buy it though is 360, so not too far off. But I do think we're going to run into some issues at 388, and if not at 388, 407 should be a questionable spot. But overall, we're in this uptrend, potentially, this purple uptrend. That's where we would be if it continues from now through the third quarter. I think ultimately we're going to end up, like here would be my box of where I think it's likely to be come the end of the third quarter. So let's see. Let me just draw a box first. So it's right here in the middle. And now can I move this down? That's not where I have the box. My box is, I would say it's more likely to be here. So between about 371 and 385. That's kind of where I'm projecting this. So currently it's at 385. I don't think it's going to make anything this quarter. It might even lose some this quarter. So that's just kind of how I'm seeing it. Of course, this uptrend could continue. If it does, it would actually be a little bit higher, but that's kind of where I'm seeing. But potentially it could be up at 394, which would be like a $9 move in a quarter. But I think this is more likely. I think it's going to more consolidate. That's what I think is more likely. And if anything, it might drop below fair value. Like I could see it pulling back somewhere in here. That might be a little bit too deep, but I want to keep it long, and hopefully we can circle back to this, say, at the end of the second quarter, see where it's shaping out, and we'll adjust this. I do want to change the color, though, to a gray. But yeah, so that's VOO. So VOO, they're out, in my opinion. But of course, whatever you think, whatever you want to do. So QQQ, let's do a time check. All right, we'll try to pick it up a little bit. So QQQ, it's in this uptrend. That is still true. We thought we would catch it one last time, right at 519. So about a week ago, we thought it would be at a better buy point, not a great buy point, but we thought it would come back down to like 300. Clearly, it didn't. So currently, it's at 348. So 348. We had buy points marked at all the way up to 306. I would have considered buying it at 306. It never even got there. Last time we looked at this was 429. 429 is right here at 322. So we were hoping that, you know, this was the pattern it was going with. We were hoping it would pull back here, and then to wrap up the second quarter, we thought it might come back up here to like 309. And currently that's possible. It could pull back a little bit, end at 309, at 329. It's just, again, we thought it would go down and up. Well, this one went more sideways and continued up that way, as opposed to a staggering. It's now just climbing, and I think it might kind of suppress a little bit between now and the end of June. Because this gold line, it goes to, man, I gotta work on my mouse. But it goes to, what I'll do is I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit. So like, that would have been the end of June. But right now, I don't know a color I would pick in terms of a projection. I just want to rein this one back in a little bit, because that would be sorry, I'm coughing so much. It's tickling my throat. Let's look at this one. To wrap up the second quarter, man, it's already at the sell point, so for that reason, this one's out, but I just want to kind of see what's best here. So that uptrend is still intact, and this has happened before. I mean, we drew these in late. That's why it kind of looks as nice, I guess, as it does. But what we've seen in the past is sometimes it'll go above our trend line, even if we draw it after the fact. Sometimes it'll go above that trend line, but pull back in the next week or two, and vice versa. It's also, we've seen it go below that trend line, but then pop right back up into the trend line a couple weeks later. I think that's possible here. That over the next month, it'll pull back into the high end of the uptrend, if that makes sense. So if I had to, man, my mouse keeps like freezing. Let's see. So a rectangle. I think what's likely here for the end of the second quarter, it's probably going to be in here. I guess I could put it out this high, but I feel pretty comfortable. I mean, it's been going up pretty high. I will give it that, just based on how quick it's growing. And if we go to the top 500, I mean, it's 375. That's 12. And what's this one going? About 30. Dang. Okay. Let me see that one more time. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Let me see. Yeah, like 30. Okay, so it's like double. That's crazy how quick it moves. So right now, yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't even want to look at the third quarter because this one's growing pretty quick. Third quarter, I think what we're going to do is remove this gold line pretty soon. Yeah, probably get it out the next time we look at this one. But right now, that's how it kind of stands. We'll see how it shapes out. But right now, again, if we just do a quick wrap up of this one. So QQQ, it was at 348. That's what we updated it to. A buy point for me. So a buy point for me between now and the end of the month would be at about 310. 310 would be the earliest I would buy this. So we had 306 before. I'm just going to round it up to 310. And then we also put 300. So I'll remove that. And then 290. 290 is down here. Yeah, I would get it at 290. I think that's a good number. But I'm going to remove the 300 just because it's not really a point of interest for us. I think what we could do, let me back up a little bit. What's this point? I think what I'll do is this fair value line, I'm going to raise this a little bit just to split the difference a little more. The idea is to have roughly half the bottoms and half the peaks, like right in the middle of whatever that line is. This looks to be about half, so that's where 310 comes from. and then 290. That's very close to the bottom. The very bottom is 277. That's like when we'd really pile on, but this uptrend's very big. I don't think we'll reach those levels anytime soon, possibly again, unless like the next big crash. Resistance, I had 336. That was the red line. The next point of interest would be 359. But yeah, we'll see if it pulls back. So 359. Once we get through 359, I mean, the sky potentially is the limit. I mean, 405 is like the previous highs. So if it goes through 359 and then 379, I mean, this one's going to 405. Like, that's what I think. Let's see. Previously we also put a note in there saying it was in an uptrend for the past 4 months. That is still true. It's accelerated. The uptrend's been intact since December. So at this point, uptrend's really been a thing for 6 months. So let's update that. So uptrend for 6 months. I would even say it's accelerating. How do you spell that? Accelerating. Okay. It's accelerating. Possible support at 315. Where'd I get that? Possible support is like 310. I don't know where I got 315. But that's very close. And I know I changed this, so possible support at, yeah, I'm just gonna tweak that a little bit. 310. And then let me wrap it. Okay, so here's what we did for that. Again, this one's gonna be a red because if we look at the numbers, and again, hopefully I'm not making this too difficult to read. Like, it's fine on my end. Hopefully it's on yours. But so for QQQ, currently it's at 348. The buy points are way down there, like 310. Like, I thought we would have resistance at 336, so we're $12 over that. And the next point of like possible resistance is at 360, which is another $12 up. So, you know, there's still room to grow if it continues that, which it currently is in that trend. It's been an uptrend for 6 months. It's actually accelerating. And possibly 310 is like the new support line. So we're about close to $40 above the possible new support line. Yeah, I think that's 310. 310 might be low. The new support might be like 320. So that might be a little bit better. But overall, I mean, I'm not interested in this one. The reason why it's marked red is because, one, it's above this red point that we thought was resistance. It's on the upper end of our uptrend going into second quarter. Yes, I realize what we're currently projecting by the end of this quarter is it could actually grow a little bit more. It's just the growth isn't that much. I think there's more things that would pull it back. I think there's going to be better opportunities out there where we're going to find something that is either at or near our green buy point that we marked out from a while ago. I'd be interested in picking that one, or something that's also in an uptrend but at the bottom end of it. That way there's more potential room to grow if that uptrend continues for like the rest of the year. So for those reasons, I think there's just better opportunities out there. So that is QQQ. And now let's wrap up with IWM. IWM, that is the Russell 2000. And I think this one's going to be pretty easy. Last time we looked at this was on 429, so about a month ago. And it was at 175. So 429, that's right around here. So it was at 429, or I'm sorry, it was at 175 on 429. We had it marked as a buy, And again, the reason was it was very close to that buy point. Um, it's still in that uptrend, even though it's gone below this purple line. So that is the purple line. It's been in this long-term uptrend for very long. And again, you can see it's gone below clearly. So I mean, potentially we could see that it dipped way down here. I mean, here's another case where relative to where it was, this was another pretty big dip back here. But overall, you can see even with that dip, that lasted what, like 2 months, and all of a sudden it was back in trend. Here, this big drop. Uh, this one took a little longer, but from what, February to August, so 6 months, it declined, but then flew right back up. Like, the point I'm making is every time it's gone below that trend line for the past, geez, look how long this line goes, all the way back to 2011. So over 10 years, 12, close to 12 years, it's just been in that uptrend. Anytime it's gone below, it's popped right back. Within 6 months was the worst. The fact that we're right here at the very bottom, I think before we know it, it's going to be close to the upside. Potentially we might sell some at that point. It'll pull back down. We'll buy some. Like, that's just been the trend. And I'm sure if we wanted to, it looks like we probably could have drew this one out until 2009, potentially all the way back to the beginning, really, which would go to like 2001. It's been in some sort of uptrend. But enough of that. So right off the bat, I like this one for those reasons. It's by our green buy point. It's on the lower end of that purple uptrend line. That's been intact for over a decade. So we had a current buy point at 175 marked. Actually, 172. 172 is the green buy point. It looks like we missed the ideal spot because it did actually touch 2 weeks ago, or about 3 weeks ago. It actually touched 172, and we could have got it. A couple weeks we had opportunities. We just didn't put the notification in, so we'll have to do that. Just take a day to load all these up. But 172, so that is still intact. It's close enough. 176, and again, just so many things good about this one. I feel like it almost, the chart explains itself. Currently it's at 176. It's at the bottom end of the uptrend. It's very close to our green buy point. For those reasons, this one is going to stay green. I'm even going to mark it. So buy point 172. If I had to project this one, because I've been doing this with the other ones, where's the box? Okay, so 630. So if I had to pick a range, I'd give myself a little bit of buffer. I'll come down here, and I'm gonna guess right in there. That's a pretty tight pocket, I would say. We're on the bottom half, clearly, of that box that we drew up just till the end of June. I think what's crazy, and I'll make a prediction for this one. I think by the end of the quarter, okay, rectangle. So end of the quarter is not too far, actually. For some reason, I felt it would be further, but I'm gonna guess end of third quarter could be like that. It's a bigger range, obviously. Did I make this too big? Yeah. Let's pull this in just a little bit. So like that. Clearly an uptrend. At this point, we'd be down here 3 months, but there's potential to be up here. Yeah, this one's good enough for me. So just a quick wrap up. Buy point still at 172, but it's close enough at 176. Resistance 198, that's the red line. I think it's going to take some time, and then once we get up to 198, we would have made about 12%. I guess that's you know, it could be better. But I think the uptrend, the purple line, I think it's more impactful at this point. I think we might run into some resistance here, but overall, like I said, that maybe over the next year, it's just going to keep going up. If I were to look, I mean, it might take 2 years, um, but I think just overall it's going to keep sweeping up. Um, so overall, I like this. I don't. Hopefully, I don't need to explain, but so that this one's the last one. Uh, if if you have different buy points, or if you wanted to like add any news things, because I didn't go over any news for these. Not that there wasn't any. It's just I'm trying to get a base down for these. So if you have any news you want to share, by all means, let me know. My note here: long-term uptrend uh, over a decade. Uh, that's my only note. So for this one, yeah, that's pretty much it. So here's the three that we just did right here. So overall positive things for all of them. It's just, again, I hope you were able to see how the two, VOO and QQQ, were on the upper end of the uptrend. They're hitting the red resistance lines that we thought, even though I don't think they're going to be all that strong to break through. Still, they're at the upper end of our ranges, where IWM was on the lower. And again, if you're not familiar with these, so VOO, that is like a simulation of taking the S&P 500. So they have some diversification of the top 500, just like the S&P. QQQ, that mirrors the top 100. And then IWM, that mirrors the Russell 2000. I'm not sure if we knew that already, but just wanted to say that. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write it on paper so I remember to do this. IWM 172 is our notification, and I'll probably buy that one. Not sure how much, maybe just a share or two, because I mean it is 172. There's going to be other things that we come across, like if you look at this is just our ETF type stuff. I mean, there's utilities which potentially could be a buy. We have semiconductors that we said was at a buy point. So 176, I mean, that's like what, 7 of these? You know, probably just one, possibly 2. We'll have to look at the numbers, but that's my opinion. Again, let me know what your thoughts are on buy points for you, maybe resistance points. Does anything differ for you compared to mine? And then any news that I would have liked to cover, but just kind of been busy lately. So if you have any updates for me, that'd be great. That'd be very helpful, and I'll try to share, the next time. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.